And I believe we are live.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yes. The mics are up, if you don't mind. I know this is a little bit, anyone watching, this might seem a little bit unprofessional, but if you wouldn't mind just chatting into your mic, please, Greg, just real quick.
Yes.
I'm there.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
You're there, and I can switch between cameras. So...
Hello, Stuart. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Would you like me to have this a little closer to my mouth?
If you care to, you can...
Whatever's easiest
With the
for
modern
you.
technology, you can just literally move that across the...
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
What a concept.
You're just showing off now. You're just showing off. The only reason I put it a little bit lower is because I noticed on the Joe Rogan show that they put it lower, I think, so they could see their wonderful faces.
Of course.
Is that what
I'm sure.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you've been in Vegas for quite some time, haven't you?
It has been over 10 years now. You know, when I think back on it, I always think in my mind 2009.
Right.
But I'm not sure that I was actually quite living here then. No, I definitely was, because that's when I played Of All Things. Of all things I would ever tell, and I usually keep this a secret.
Right.
I usually don't brag about this a lot. But in 2009, I actually played for the Academy of Country Music Awards at the MGM Grand Garden Arena for Miley Cyrus.
And I think I saw it on TV, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were all dressed in white.
The whole band dressed in white. Yeah,
I think Rod Miller was
dressed in white. Everybody was in white. Yeah. Playing a white grand piano. Yeah.
And was it, I'm trying to think, I met the guy at an Iron Maiden show, Benoit. Was it Benoit? I don't remember who was.
I think we talked about him the other night, didn't we?
I met Benoit at it was a crazy thing because he's got this kind of crazy accent.
Yeah, yeah.
And I met him at an Iron Maiden show.
Yeah.
Because I've got a friend in the band, and he was like, "Hey man, I can't do his accent. I can't seen him in a long time." But he's like, he sounds a bit like Daffy Duck. Sorry if he's watching.
I can't understand what he's saying most of the time.
A
lot of the time I just shake my head and go, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And he was like,
sure.
"Are you here for your tickets? Are you here for your tickets?"
I'm sure he's heard that a lot from a lot of people, so I don't feel too bad about saying that.
I don't know whether to say, whether to be friends with this guy, and I tried to be as kind of, and he's like, I said, "Oh, are you a friend?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm a friend with Nickel, man. I'm friends with Nickel." So I thought, okay, probably is. And anyway, we swapped numbers.
Yeah.
And I thought, this guy's either living under a bridge or the complete opposite.
Right.
And it turned out it was the complete opposite.
He knows everybody everywhere. Yeah.
And I jammed with him.
Everywhere.
I jammed with him a few times.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah,
I jammed with him too. He had a really cool studio out there. You ever been to his place out there?
I've been to his place and played
south
there.
part of town, yeah.
And
he had a great little room.
Yeah. Well, I remember it being very big.
Yeah, well, it is a big room.
Yeah.
Completely separate room from the entire house.
What?
Very nice
Did he
thing.
stay in town or?
I think he did. I think he's still in town. I know he talked about leaving for a while there.
Right.
He was going to do this and get rid of that and move up north. But I don't know if that actually happened or not, to tell you the truth.
Because he moved up the Miley Cyrus chain, right? I think he was like stage manager in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, so getting back to, because you've backed a lot of people from Vegas, and
I've performed with a lot of people here in Vegas. Yeah, I guess you could say I backed them. Yeah,
in England, we say, if you back an act,
sure.
how you back that act, or was part of the band or whatever.
Sure.
Who was the really famous person that you've been with for a long time? I don't know if you still are.
Oh my God, it's really tough to say who that could be, because
let's hear a list.
The list is fairly long. Now, I was playing with a swing band with Louis Prima Jr.
That's
for
the
a
guy
long
I'm
time.
thinking of. He's very well known in Vegas, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because his dad opened up Vegas, and when I first moved here, it was that was kind of an important part of my Las Vegas legacy at the time. I felt pretty honored to be a part of a long tradition here in Las Vegas. Louis Prima Sr. opened up the Sahara, the Sands. He was the guy that was playing when Frank Sinatra walked in and walked to the bar after seeing Louis jamming, and it was a jamming band. I mean, everybody showed up there. That's why Frank was there that night, because it was the only entertainment in town.
Right.
It was like the first musical act in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Louis Prima and the Witnesses, yeah.
And so the thing that fascinates me, first of all, why did you move to Vegas? And second of all, you're obviously a rock guy, superstar, keyboard player. Was it one of those situations? And I was in this situation when I was a drummer. Was it one of them jobs where you just thought, I'll just take this gig for 3 months?
Yeah, no, it really wasn't. It started out, when I was up in Seattle, I played with everybody in Hearts, and I had various different projects going with members of Hearts,
right,
including being in a band with Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees Roger Fisher and Mike DeRozier, who wrote Barracuda.
Oh, wow.
And that was like a 5-year project, and we had this huge soundstage warehouse, and we did rehearsals and did records and lots of things, but nothing that was going on there. Later on, I ended up being in a band with Pamela Moore,
right,
and Jason Boylston on guitar,
right,
yeah, and who later on went on to do Paul Rodgers, of course. And we started a band called Sister Mary because of Pamela's relation to the whole Queensryche project, and of course I had ties to that too, and did some sampling work for them. Back in the day when I had the only emulator in Seattle in the Northwest, which was pretty cool. So I did that, and Howard was producing Sister Mary. I was writing about half the songs, and Pamela and me and Jason were writing the rest of the songs. And so that's kind of where that all started. But after that was over, it was just that period of time where all the major rooms in Seattle were going away.
Right.
All the big rock rooms, like the Aquarius, which turned into Parker, and that went away. And Pier 70, where we used to play all the time, where Robert Plant came down and got up on stage and played with us.
Wow.
And, it's just amazing things like that happened in Seattle. But all that was going away. Everything was going to DJs, small rooms. It was all DJ work. And I just said, screw this, rock and roll's dead. I thought to myself, literally at the time, I thought rock and roll
is dead, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did.
Yeah. So I, first of all, ended up moving to Phoenix, Arizona.
Right.
Just getting out of Seattle because I was doing some timber brokering on the side back in those days, all around Washington and Oregon and up along the Columbia River Gorge. And I was doing pretty well at that. And rolling in $100,000 worth of bills with my girlfriend for New Year's Eve and stuff, that kind of crazy stuff.
Wow.
And of course, I thought that was pretty big money at the time. I was going, yeah, this is pretty good. Let's stay with this timber business. I ended up putting a deal together with a company that owned 30,000 acres of property in Belize. You've never heard this story before, have you, Stuart?
No, but I'm very intrigued.
It was a pretty fascinating story because my partner in that entire operation in that business had worked with Weyerhaeuser for like 50 years. He was an older guy. And so we went down to Belize, and me and my wife at the time literally took a gigantic video camera, one of the old ones, through the rainforest. And that didn't last very long because it's so humid and there's so much rain. So that thing, it died pretty quick. But we were actually literally videotaping all the mahogany trees on the property because our plan was that was the brass ring for me at the time, to turn this property into an ecotourism resort. And we were going to do extremely well on this. It was on 12 miles of riverfront that went straight down to the Caribbean Sea.
Wow.
And that was quite an amazing experience, being there and being out in the rainforest, because right across from the property that we were buying was a Mayan Indian village that had literally been there for centuries. And the chief of the Mayan Indian village became our friend. Of course, we met him and talked to him and said, this is what's going on. This is what we're going to do. We're going to provide a lot of work for a lot of your people. And of course, they loved us, and they were throwing feasts and killing chickens. And we were like staying in his kitchen because they don't cook in their houses, of course, because they cook on wood. So you make sure that you don't burn down your house. You always have, your kitchen is always a separate building. And I saw that happen while I was down there. But it was an amazing thing going out into the woods and the things I saw. And, of course, he's like his name was Ignacio, and I nicknamed him Ignacio the Rabbit.
Right.
Because, we came prepared for this big journey, not knowing anything about the rainforest, Americans coming down to Belize. So we had machetes like this long.
Wow.
And, of course, he's got a machete about this long. And he's cutting his way and following these trails, and we're hunched over trying to follow him the whole way and getting backaches. And this damn camera didn't work half the time, but that's why I was there, and it was an amazing experience.
So what ended up happening?
What ended up happening, and we had such a brilliant opportunity with that entire business, because the government of Belize was giving us like a 25-year tax holiday just because we were going to bring a small logging operation there,
Yeah.
a mill. And they were going to give us free importation of all the equipment, tax free for like 25 years. And it would have been a great, great thing. But the main guy, the Weyerhaeuser guy, his name was Ron Moore, passed away in the middle of the whole thing. So, and of course, I had investors and several investors on that one, and everybody jumped ship and just said, "Ron's gone, we're out."
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And,
but it was an amazing experience.
it's funny how I don't think people always realise. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my YouTube feedback, make sure it's there. I don't think people always realise how one person
Can do so many.
can make a difference to a business like that.
Sure, absolutely.
And I always tell people, look, the statistic is when you sell a business or the main person from the business, you lose 40% of your clients.
Absolutely. Sure. Of course.
Because they think, oh, well, like it's
killed
like
us.
if I was doing business with you and you sold it, oh, well, Greg's gone.
Yeah. Of
Why
course.
should I? I've got no loyalty to
Sure.
whoever takes over.
It's true.
But anyway,
And that happens in the music business even worse all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think people realise, I mean, the music, it's called the music business for a reason,
Yeah.
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 And it's such a shame you find a lot of the time that people just don't hang in there. I don't know if I told you this story, but I went to interview George Lynch.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. I don't know if you've ever seen the UK show. I think it's called Little Britain. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't, no.
Anyway, there's one skit where there's a guy in a shop and his wife's upstairs. You never get to see his wife. She's just upstairs.
She's always upstairs.
She's always upstairs.
And she's always saying something. She's always
Well,
commenting.
the way it works is somebody comes into the shop and goes, "Have you got any pirate memory games?" And then the guy behind the counter goes, "Love," or whatever, I can't remember her name.
Sure.
"Have we got any pirate memory games?" And then she'll shout down, "Well, they won't be here till next Wednesday." And then the guy goes, "I'll wait."
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll wait.
I'll wait.
Nice. Hey, I got to finish the story about
Oh, sorry.
Belize, though, because and I just remembered this part because, gosh, I have so many great stories about so many things that have happened in my life that many people have told me to write a book.
Yeah.
You could do the same thing. I'm sure most of us could that have been.
I'll get someone
been
else
in
to
this
write
life.
it.
What's that?
I'll get someone else to
Yeah,
write
there you
it.
go. Yeah, yeah. But it was so cool because we were out in the middle of the rainforest. It was so hot and so humid, and it was just really hard to take. So I would take a break and I would jump in the river, and he would say, "Well, of course I stripped my clothes off, jumped in the river," and he says, "You want to be careful of this, whatever you call it, fish," and I can't remember what it was, but if you pee in the water in Belize, it'll swim right up you, right?
Into your
into
your junk.
And this becomes a big problem because it kind of sets up house there, and then you got all kinds of serious problems,
Yeah.
like deep in your bladder or something, I guess. So got the clothes back on, headed through the rainforest, got all hot and humid again, and came up on the stream. So I say, let's just walk down this creek for a while, because there's no branches hanging over the whole thing in this
Right.
particular area, so we can actually stand up for a while. It's a little bit cooler, and we're walking up this stream, and I start to see what looks like man-made stones, and this is on our property, this 30,000 acres
Right.
of property that we had, and so we continue walking, and sure enough, it turns into a wall. This was Mayan ruins that nobody had ever discovered before on our property. And so we continued on and sure enough saw lots, and we didn't see gigantic pyramids or anything.
Yeah.
But it was pretty amazing it was literally like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like living Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a guy on Joe Rogan a little while ago that was saying, he was, showing all of this evidence of this, what you're talking about and how,
Yeah.
I mean, nobody denies that human beings haven't punched the heck out of the planet. No one's a climate change denier, but there's loads of evidence. There's civilizations from thousands of
Oh, sure.
all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And, I always think that, call it Mother Nature, call it God, call it whatever you want, but if it ever got bored of us, it would just
Oh gosh, yeah.
flick. I mean, if it can get rid of the dinosaurs, I'm pretty sure it could get rid of us.
Oh yeah, one
You know what I
single
mean?
asteroid is, will take care of a lot of things.
So let's go back to early Gregg Fox.
Yeah.
What gets you into being a keyboard player?
I was raised in a very, very musical family.
Right.
Yeah. A very church family. And my mom was the pianist and then the organist later on. My dad was the choir director. When I was 5 years old and my only sister was 3 years old, we were singing This Little Light of Mine in church.
Oh, wow.
And, we were doing quartets all the time. There was always a piano in the house. Mom was always playing. We were always around the piano almost nightly singing, and Mom was playing, and we were practicing for next Sunday's service, whatever we were going to perform, whether it was a duet with Mom and Dad or a quartet with the family or something with me and my sister. And then I got into violin when I was in grade school, and so then I was playing violin, and my sister was playing the flute, Mom was playing the piano. And at 5 years old, I started taking piano lessons.
Okay.
So they got me started early. I took 12 years of piano lessons.
Wow.
Then, of course, I went on into college, and got my degree in music, and ended up at Seattle Pacific University, a free Methodist-based church. But so, my whole life was all about music and all about the church, but it was always music and the church. So, got my first guitar with my buddy, when I was in 6th grade, and him and I started writing songs and practicing. And my first band was a church band, the whole bit. As a matter of fact, when I was in late high school, our denomination up in the Pacific Northwest, the Free Methodist Church, put on this musical called Show Me Jesus, and I ended up winning the lead role in that.
Because you could definitely do
sang
Jesus.
And acted this part. Yeah, I sang and acted this part as
I'm pretty sure one night after Vant, I saw you on the cross out in the car park.
Shit, sometimes I feel like it.
I didn't have the confidence to come over, but I was pretty sure it's great. So, what is really interesting to me? So you've never really had that kind of thing of growing up. I really want to be a musician. You just always was.
Always was.
Absolutely. So you don't actually know what it's like to not
in that
be
musical,
a musician.
I think I performed in front of about 50,000 people.
Wow.
In doing a number of churches, dozens of churches around the denomination. I think that's what it ended up being. And, and in high school, I was starting to write a lot of songs on piano. I was that nerd kid that was the violinist in orchestra that would sit around and go home and practice and write songs and dream that somebody would drive by and hear me playing and that I'd end up being a star.
And then that'd be made into a Disney movie.
That's right.
So my question is, you got your degree in music. Mm-hmm. You're a great player. You've grown up with the whole thing. Yeah. You can probably get a job in a university, earning a very decent amount of money.
Sure.
Getting tenure.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be following the dreams of being a rock star.
Right.
What was that ever something that you thought about?
It was never a possibility in my mind because I enjoyed the art and the creation of music so much that I always knew that I had to produce music. And of course, I'd been performing my whole life, so I knew that I loved to perform and entertain people. So even when I was at Seattle Pacific University, getting my degree, I knew at the time, and everybody else was going to be teachers. Well, what are you going to do? I'm going to be a rock star. This is what I'm going to be.
And that's my fascination because
this is what I'm going to do.
It's an easy, say easy way out. It's not fair to say, but it's a pretty secure.
Yeah.
And you got the...
No, I always knew it was all performance-based for me. Everything I was learning there was about the creativity, the writing ability, and the ability to perform. It was all performance-based. So, I got in a band. That changed everything. Mom and Dad didn't talk to me for about 10 years.
I was going to get into that. So how did your folks...
Yeah. It was a pretty difficult period of time because when you first start out, of course, it's you're starting out at the bottom. And so I spent those years in club acts and cover bands, touring around the country and being a rock pirate. Yeah. Being a rock pirate in every sense of the word. And Mom and Dad knew that, didn't like it, didn't like any of the portents of what it meant for my future. And so we had a lot of those discussions. And, I was that guy that would go to the grocery store with my eyeliner on and my big hair. And that was just me. This is me. I'm not pretending to be anybody. This is me.
Like the rock star, the movie Rockstar.
Yeah, of course.
When he's doing fixing the printer thing. And he goes, oh, you got something in your eye? And he goes, I'm in a band.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That was me. Later on, as things progressed and I started working with some of the people in Heart, and they started to see me perform in larger and larger venues and big crowds and Seattle Center and lots of things like that, they started going, he's doing pretty good at this.
Yeah.
This just might work out. And, it's been a difficult life. It's not like I've done so well that I'm secure.
Right.
But I've been incredibly blessed with all the things that have happened to me and the people I've been able to perform with and work with all of my life. It just keeps getting bigger and better and bigger and better and bigger and better. So
Yeah.
I'm, at this point in my life, what else am I going to do? I'm still hanging on going, hey, this is me. This is what I do.
Yeah,
So,
and it's a funny thing, because if you look through history of anything, when you give people too much, they generally get lazy and
Sure.
sort of give up. So do you feel that because you haven't achieved what it is that you want to achieve, and I feel the same about myself,
Yeah.
that's what gets you up in the morning and that's what keeps you going. Do you find that?
Absolutely. But, I don't think that would have changed if I had accomplished more than I have. I've played in front of enormous crowds.
Well,
Miley Cyrus with 36 million,
I meant
30,000
more
there live.
I didn't really mean that.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people have had success in that way. What I meant is all of a sudden, if you've got millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
I mean, if
Would I
you
stop?
take Eric Clapton, he basically didn't go out of his house for 3 years.
Sure.
And I've heard various stories of, not everybody's like that. So I'm not trying to diminish. I'm not trying to say you haven't been successful. I'm trying to say that when you do get that huge financial success, you'd think that guy from Metallica would be the happiest guy in the world, but
Sure.
I think he's okay again now, but he's had to come off the road several times because.
Well, of course, life has so many things, and the responsibilities at that level of finance and industry. It can weigh heavily on you and change a person in big ways. So it's hard to really make that statement if something like that would have changed me, because just all of it, all the crap that you have to go through in the music industry and the shows and the touring. Although I love touring, I've always loved touring. On any level that I've toured with, it's always been, I love doing that. I love seeing the country. I love meeting new people. Every city that I'm in, people are, partying all night and sleeping all day, and I'm out looking at the Washington Memorial or they're going out, taking the ship out to the Statue of Liberty, So I just love traveling and doing that. But so I don't think it would have changed me at all, because an intrinsic part of my soul and my nature is that creative force.
Yeah.
That's what gets me out of bed. Definitely I have that drive and ambition. That hasn't gone away, to create my music and have the world hear my music. But even without that, I would still get up, and every day I would have to write.
Yeah.
Another story of mine is when I left Seattle and went down to Phoenix, and after the whole Belize scenario, I ended up buying a sailboat with my wife, and we sailed around the Bahamas for about 7 years.
No way.
And
7 years.
7 years, yeah. And it's a bucket list thing. Most people dream of doing that, and I would have never sacrificed that for anything since I was in that position and made that decision to do that.
Yeah.
Once again, I had decided that rock and roll was dead. When I was down in Phoenix, I started doing sales and selling ATM machines, and I happened to walk into a skateboard shop. This long-haired guy that owned the skateboard shop, and he wanted to have an ATM machine in there, and I noticed when I walked into his office to give him my presentation, and I was doing pretty well selling ATM machines. It was a long-time residual. And I noticed a Queensryche poster on the wall. And of course, being from Seattle and having known the guys and done some things with them, of course, I was going to save that till after my pitch, till after the contracts were done, of course. At the end, I just told the guy, I just don't think this is the right place for you to have an ATM machine. I think it's too much debt for you to go into. And I said, so you like Queensryche? And his name was Norm, still a very good friend of mine. And I was in a band with him for years in Phoenix, because he says to me, yeah, I love Queensryche. I'm in a band called Superhero, and I sound just like Jeff Tate.
Wow.
And of course, what was the first thing that went through my mind? Sure you do. Sure you do, right? So he says, dude, there's a pawn shop next door. I think they have some really cool old vintage keyboards over there. Will you play for me? We need a keyboard player in my band. And I hadn't been in a band for a long time. Once again, I thought rock and roll was dead, right?
This was after the 7 years?
This is in Phoenix.
In Phoenix.
Yeah, this is before I went sailing.
Before this, you went
so
sailing.
I actually did have a band in Phoenix, but I still felt like rock and roll was dead. And we played in front of pretty big crowds. So we were a very, very popular band in Phoenix, Arizona. But it was so cool because we went over to this pawn shop. It was like right out of a movie story.
Yeah.
because we went over there. They had a Yamaha CP70 electric grand piano, which I used to have.
Wow.
Really great machine. And I start jamming out, and he calls the guitar player, Mike Hodges, and he's a great guitar player, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's like going, Mike, check this out. And he holds the phone down by the CP70, and I start jamming there going, oh my God, we got to get this guy in the band. So I start learning these cover tunes, and I go to the studio that Norm has, where they practice. Pretty cool. We got a stage set up there and stuff. And the very first song we did was Separate Ways.
Oh, okay.
And I am a programming madman. I've been programming Korgs. I'm endorsed by Korg. I've been programming Korg since the 80s and endorsed by Hammond also. But so to me, I always create my own sounds. I try to, if I'm doing a cover song, it's got to be bigger and fatter than anybody else's,
right.
if not better than that band. And I have a great Foreigner story about that in a minute too. Remind me of that one. So yeah, we played Separate Ways, and at the end of it was so cool. It was another movie moment because the entire band just stopped and just looked at each other and went, "Did you hear what I just heard?" Was that as good as, because I had never heard, well, that's not true. I had been out to see Norm sing and to see the band, and the band was unbelievable. The drummer had this huge kit. He was just a monster. Jimmy Taft was his name. The bass player ended up being my best friend for most of my life, Mikey Bones.
Oh.
That's where I originally met Mikey
I
Bones,
love
Michael
Mikey.
Gerbino.
God bless his soul.
Yeah, so absolutely, yeah.
Very funny, nice man.
Unbelievable. He has more friends than I've ever known anybody to have in my life. And he was just that guy.
Yeah.
Mikey passed away in 2017, but I met him originally in Phoenix. And
Wow, that was where you met.
Through Superhero. And there would be times on stage, and Norm was such an amazing singer, still is to this day. We would do Journey, Queensryche, and I'd be on stage. And of course, I had been in bands with people from Hearts, and I'd done all the stuff in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Great vocalists, some of the best vocalists in the Northwest, whether you're talking about Pamela Moore, or you're talking about Carla Maylander, Carla Bowman, Scott Rosberg, who was in a band called Stryker back in the late 70s, I think it was. I think they had a top 10 hit. Some of the best. And I'd be on stage with Norm just going, I can't believe I'm in a band with this guy. He could do anything, but he had a fear of doing originals and just thought nothing was going to happen. It was that period of time. We were just in a cover band, but it didn't, it felt to me like rock and roll was going nowhere. So once again, I said, you know what? Let's buy a sailboat and sail around the Bahamas.
So how long did that band go for?
I think we were together for at least 3 years.
Right.
I think we were together at least 3 years. Yeah.
And Black was playing around
Phoenix all the time. Yeah. Yeah. To some amazing crowds. And it was an unbelievable band.
And it's funny because the Journey guy came from basically Neil Schon going online.
Yeah.
And he found he was singing in a cover band was it in the Philippines? I don't exactly remember.
Right. Yeah.
I think he was in a cover band.
Arnell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, let's get
crazy.
So
yeah. When
the
you're that
people
good.
are out there.
It happens. But of course, back in those days when we were doing this in the 90s, there wasn't as much connection, as much social media, as much YouTube, the kind of things where they found Arnell, on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So the ability to just find a guy like Norm, and any band would have.
Yeah, Neil Schon didn't sell ATMs, as far as I know.
That's right.
That was.
Yeah, true enough.
I've actually got a little Queensryche story for you, because when I very first came to Vegas, I don't even remember the year. It was doing a guitar clinic. There was Michelangelo Batio, myself, and one of the guys from Queensryche, who I think is Chris, the smaller one of the two.
Yeah.
Is that Chris DeGarmo?
DeGarmo, yeah.
So anyway, there used to be, I'm sure you know it, I don't think it's there now, but there used to be a bar called Pinky's.
Pinky's.
And they had a lot of pool tables, and I think the pool tables were pink cloth, if I remember rightly.
Right.
Anyway, we went there that night for whatever reason, because the clinics are normally in the afternoon, early evening.
And what town was this in?
In Vegas.
This was Vegas?
Yeah.
Pinky's, yeah. People have told me about Pinky's, but I missed out on the Pinky's days.
Yeah. So anyway, we go that night, and there's a Queensryche tribute band on. And so the guy from Queensryche is with us.
Now that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because the tribute band from Phoenix, I know that Pamela Moore from Queensryche did some things with the guys I'm talking about. Norm Savadra and Mike Hodges and Jimmy Taft and Mark Christensen. So who knows if that was the tribute band you were seeing.
It could have been.
That might have been why he was there, because he might have known that Pamela was singing.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember why we went to that place, but we'd done the clinic and somebody said we're going to go to this place. I was like, fine, whatever. But the thing about it was, I remember thinking really highly of this Queensryche guy because they noticed him.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew he was there, but they noticed him because he's got that curly.
Yeah.
He's got.
You're talking about Michael Wilton.
Oh, the other guy, he's got a look.
Whip. Yeah, Giacomo left the band so long ago. I mean, literally back in the 90s,
okay.
I think.
So anyway, they asked him up to play, and he went up to play, and he did the whole of the rest of the gig.
Nice.
And
that's cool. That's so cool.
Not like one or two
Michael
tunes.
and I are still good friends.
Really?
I see Michael a couple times a year.
Yeah. And the guy just did his pedals. The guitar player who was in the band didn't even mind. He's like, you just play. And he was on his there, and he was just like,
nice.
With his foot.
That's cool.
Doing his pedals.
I love it. That's awesome that Michael did the whole rest of the gig.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do the 3 years with the band. How did that? What was it that made that come to an end?
I just knew that it was just a cover band, and
right.
that I couldn't get the band serious about writing material, and that was always what I knew I wanted to do. And I was thinking, okay, well, the music, nothing really going on in the music industry to speak of. So let's, it was always another dream. Let's buy a sailboat and sail around the Bahamas. And so we did it. And that was, an amazing, amazing thing. It's so funny when I think back on that, because it's the kind of thing I would never, ever want to have taken out of my life.
Right.
But the amazing things that happened to me once I got off the sailboat.
Right.
I got off the sailboat, and I lived in Key West, Florida for a while there, and I was working and selling art in an art gallery and doing very well doing that too. But I ended up moving to Venice Beach, California, and staying in a multi-million-dollar house right on the Grand Canal. And I wasn't back in LA 3 months, and Foreigner asked me to go on tour with them. That didn't happen. They ended up hiring the person that is still with them today. And but I did a lot of programming and learned it all, and the entire band, and including the keyboard player that they have chosen now, said, man, those tracks were amazing. It sounded, like the intro of Waiting for a Girl Like You.
Yeah.
Things that really took, I spent 3 weeks programming that one sound to make sure that it was so perfect, and it was difficult to do. But so that's.
So what happened? Did they give you a reason as to why?
It was a friendship thing. The old guy knew this other guy.
That happened to me actually in a band.
And he got to walk in and just play this all pre-programmed stuff that was all right there. And of course, he's come and jammed with me at Bonzo Bashes at NAMM and things like that. And I always let him play. And he's always, I met him shortly after he got the gig. In Laughlin, they were doing a show in Laughlin, and maybe it was a year after he got the gig, and I had moved out here to Vegas from Venice Beach, California. We were sitting at the bar after his show, and he was going, man, I feel so bad. You are the perfect guy. You're a real rock star. Look at me. I'm just a geek, man. This should have been your gig.
It's funny you should say that, because it reminds me a little bit of the story of Kiss, where they were at a point where they were like hiring session guitar players, and they're in the studio, and Ace Frehley's outside in the green room or in the canteen or whatever, and the session guy who just did whatever track he just did, he walks out, and Ace goes, "How did I sound?"
Right.
You must have,
right. Yeah.
It
was kind of a lot like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in. I stayed in Venice Beach for, I think, a couple of years, and I was doing a lot of writing, a lot of things that ended up turning into my current project, the Renaissance Rock Orchestra. And Mikey Bones was coming out from Vegas. He had moved from Phoenix up to Las Vegas.
Right.
And he was saying, you got to move to Las Vegas. We got to put a show together. We got to do this. We originally were planning on putting a show together called Rock of Ages before there was a
Rock of Ages. Yeah.
And my girlfriend at the time was supposed to get that trademarked, and somehow that didn't work. And so that fell between the cracks. But came out here and started doing some shows, but I wasn't here 3 months. And I did the Miley Cyrus show for the Academy of Country Music Awards.
Right.
And
were you a vegan at this point? At Las Vegas? I call Vegas people vegans.
I was. At that point, I was.
Okay.
I definitely was. Yeah.
Right. And so you're getting to that point. So you and Mikey are just sort of putting this project together. Now, it's been going for quite some... It's not like a new thing, is it?
At this point, it's definitely not. We released our first record in 2014.
Right.
And there's been some things that have happened that have kind of slowed down a lot of a lot of our progress. A lot of it has to do with the death of my girlfriend from cancer in 2015. And then the death of Mikey Bones in 2017. So we released our first EP 2014, but we didn't release another record, a full record, till 2018. So that was certainly a part of it. Although a lot of it has been also that right from the start, my motto of Renaissance Rock Orchestra has been go big or go home.
Yeah.
You know, I never had a desire to start small and try to get this group of guys together and start doing little gigs.
You can't do bar gigs with a band like that anyway, can you?
Well, you know what? I originally created it after a Trans-Siberian Orchestra template. You know, when I was out here, me and Mikey would go see all of his buddies in Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and he'd introduce me to them, and Jeff Scott Soto, and I was looking at this going, I love this. And I was looking at the crowds and realizing that in 90 days, they're making $60 million. And I'm seeing little kids that this is their first rock show. And I'm going, I love this.
Right.
And it was just everything about it. I was going, I could do that. I could write that. We could do this.
Yeah.
And I thought at the time, because it was so huge and there was only one of them in the world, and there's a big world out there, that investors were going to understand that and go, wow, we see what Trans-Siberian Orchestra did. Yes, let's throw a bunch of money into the Renaissance Rock Orchestra and let's do the same thing.
Right.
Now, of course, my template was a little bit different in that, yes, we do classical metal, but we're not going to do a Christmas show. My whole idea was take Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I still say it to this day. Take Trans-Siberian Orchestra, take out the Christmas, add rock stars.
Yeah. And the funny thing about Trans-Siberian Orchestra is that not one of them's trans.
You're right.
You know? So how can they?
It's funny you should say that. I was searching for them somehow for something I was doing today. I was thinking the same thing. Suddenly in today's society, that's taken on a whole different thing, the whole Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah, which is a funny thing. So, I mean, let's say, for example, we're just riffing on some ideas here. Because there's, correct me if I'm wrong, there is actually two Trans-Siberian orchestras that go down the coasts of America.
East and West Coast, yeah.
At the same time.
Correct.
So could you be the third one doing the European stuff?
I don't see why not. I mean,
because
certainly.
I'd be approaching them and saying, hey, look, I could be a third one. I could do Europe. Because if they're doing America, I don't think they've taken that show to England, as far as I know.
I don't think so either. I think you're absolutely right. You know, so that's an option that we could do that. But once again, I'd like to retain the ownership that I have of the project.
That's still yours.
And not only that, but the music that I write and many people that hear it. And if you're watching, please go to YouTube and subscribe and watch it. The very first track we ever did was a song called JS Rock, which is a play on words for Johann Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
And people hear it and go, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, maybe better. People have told me that. On another song that we did that Howard Leese from Heart played a guitar solo on was Alexander Symphony off our second record. And so I want to do my music. I want to retain my music. I don't want to do their show. I don't want to do that show. I think there's a lot of room out there, and it's interesting that you're bringing this up right now because I finally got to the point in the discussion after so many venues and agencies and touring companies not really understanding what this project is and how to market it correctly and what to do with it. And I have an idea on how to solve that too. I've kind of figured that out with a new business model. But just a few weeks ago, around the Christmas period of time, actually, I was, thinking about, this whole Christmas thing. I've been trying to stay away from the Christmas thing, but it obviously works for them. It's a great period of time to get the show booked. And I write a Christmas song every year that I release to the Renaissance Rock Orchestra fans. So we have like 6 of those going on already. All we need to do is add, 6 known songs, do our version of Carol of the Bells and our version of this. And why not do it? So we are planning on doing it this year. So as we speak, I'm in the middle of trying to write and record 2 different records.
Okay.
Because it's time for the 4th Renaissance Rock Orchestra record, which I think is going to be called Magic in the Air. And so I'm working on that, and I want to have that done by June and released by June. But also I'm trying to create a whole Christmas album too. And so I want to have that done by April. So I'm working every night, every day.
So I want to riff with you on something here, which would probably help you and would certainly help me. But I'm struggling to think of a way of doing it. So you're going to be the first person I'm going to run this by. So I've got nearly 5,000 friends on Facebook. You probably the same. That's no big deal. Mm-hmm. But I've got 325, I think, or 350 subscribers on YouTube.
Right.
So without being a complete DICK, how do I... And it's not like these people on Facebook are messaging me all the time or interacting with me particularly.
Sure.
Do you think it would be legitimate for I or for you to find a way to message these people and say, and there's no good way of saying this, but hey, you're going to have to subscribe to my YouTube channel or I'm going to unfriend you. Not because I don't like you or because I think you're a bad person or whatever. I don't even know you. Yep. But we don't interact anyway.
Right. And
if you want to be, do you see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying.
It's almost like my Facebook page is a club. And you've got to pay a small fee to get in, and that small fee is subscribing to my YouTube channel, which is still free, by the way. Mm-hmm. Do you think if I was to say, I probably wouldn't say that to you because we're mates, but do you think that's like a bad dick move, or what's your view on that? No, because let's say, for example, you could make that work.
Yeah, I understand completely. I think it might be different at this point in time, and I understand what you're saying about the club. And you're right. I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook too. How many of them interact with me? Now, the funny thing about that is I probably have at least 10,000 friend requests, and a lot of these friend requests I know. And the problem with that is I want to let you join my club, but when I go through my list of 5,000 friends, I literally have to spend a long, long time doing that, scrolling through thousands and thousands because I know them all, and they are all actually my friends.
Okay, but
and hundreds and hundreds of those do interact with me every day.
Okay,
and so I like your concept. Yeah, if you're going to be in the club, you've got to do this. Yeah,
or because
I get that.
That's a very small.
And I think times have changed. I think you could do that now, and that would be okay. It's kind of a smart move, but I remember doing that when Facebook first started.
Right.
And back in that period of time, that was a very DICK move to make because, people unfriended me and went, wow, really? Because I was asking, I was trying to gain traction. I was asking in a nice way. I wasn't saying you've got to subscribe or you're not going to, or else I'm going to unfriend you. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But people were like, dude, this is not cool. This is an advertisement. This is spam. Everybody thought that to do that was spam at the time.
Yeah.
But I think we've kind of moved past that to a different point where, hey, there's only this much room. We're trying to get traction on YouTube. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the least DICK way of doing it because I know that if I say, can you please subscribe? Unfortunately, it's human nature, right? If you don't really, somebody once said, there's no such thing in life as love, only leverage. Mm-hmm. If you normally ask people to do something, they might do it, they might not.
Right.
If you tell them I'm going to cut your electricity off next Wednesday, guess what?
Yep.
Ding, ding, ding.
Suddenly things get taken care of.
So that's what I'm thinking. So you don't think so what me and you need to riff together and find a way of...
At this point in time, knowing that we can't gain more than 5,000 followers, you better become a useful follower. And
that's my point.
And you should want to be a useful member of that club.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, another way to do that is with groups, right?
Yeah.
And the whole group thing, you have to go through the administrator and you have to answer some questions, or you at least have to kind of prove that that
you're breathing,
that you want to be a part of this club, and here's why you should be, because you know this about prog, or you know this about metal, or that you have this experience. So the group way is probably a little bit more socially acceptable than...
I mean, I might just have to take a hammer to this thing and just...
just do it. Just say forget it.
Because the trouble is with the whole YouTube subscription thing, people just sort of like, well, I don't need to subscribe. I can watch your stuff for free. And
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I understand completely because I've been struggling with the whole thing. I took this whole last year and made a major YouTube move where I started creating content every Tuesday and every Friday. It's just unbelievable the amount of time that it takes to do all that. And I mean, literally, there'd be times I'd be spending 6, 7, 8 hours creating videos and this kind of content, and it's difficult. I was able to get up to 5,000 followers,
Right.
so I feel that's good. But I'm kind of in this dead zone now, so I understand everything that you're talking
And
about.
it is
with
difficult
traction.
to move on. They change the algorithm all the time.
Exactly.
So maybe
Yeah.
maybe today's not the day to do it, but we need to have we need to riff on this and find a friendly,
I don't know,
fan-friendly
I
way.
might take your advice and try it too. It's just like, hey, those of you that do not interact with me on my Facebook page, this is it, yeah. Or maybe I'll just start a group. It will be the Renaissance Rock Orchestra
Yeah.
group, and to be a part of that group.
Because for me, it's like everybody's like. Have you ever noticed like everyone's got amazing advice for you?
Sure, of course.
Everyone.
Of
If
course.
it was them doing it, they and
They would have given up a long time ago.
Well,
if it
yeah,
was
we
them
know
doing
that,
it.
but in
Yeah,
their
yeah.
feeling, why doesn't he just do this? But in my view, I'm like, well, if you want to help us get somewhere, why don't you just subscribe?
Do something.
Do
Yeah,
that.
do some- Now, on the other hand, you have to keep in mind that, to me, I think it's Google's fault a little bit too.
Right.
In that it's difficult to subscribe for a lot of people. They might watch YouTube videos, but to actually subscribe, you got to remember what email address you used, what password you used, and you got to do that.
You can't just hit the subscribe button.
No, you can't just
Oh.
subscribe. Yeah, you
You
got
used to be able to,
You got to
though, right?
sign in. No, you've always had to sign in. A lot of people are signed in because they use it often enough, but you'd be surprised how many people don't.
Right.
And they just watch for free and they don't sign in. But to subscribe, you do have to sign in. And I think that's an issue and a problem. I find it all the time myself, just when I'm trying to make comments. It's important to interact back with people that leave comments on your YouTube. And when I try to do that, I have to sign in every time. It's just
Right.
like, why do I have to keep signing in? I signed in earlier today. I signed in yesterday. Why do I have to do it every day?
Yeah,
Right?
That is kind of crazy.
On every device, on this computer, on that desktop, on this phone, So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm. Whether this is advice for anybody out there, I mean, with Lick Library, I mean, I've got to be honest. We don't have a lot. We don't agree on a lot of things, but one thing that has been very, very successful for Lick Library is the mailing list. Mm-hmm. Back in the early days,
Sure.
we're going back 30 years.
Sure, yeah. Now, you just said we don't agree on a lot of things. What you were talking about when you said that?
Me and the other,
Oh.
the most
other people that do
the most,
it.
yeah, there was me and one other, but the most painful thing I think about for me, there's a lot of painful things, but the most painful thing was when I came to America in 2008 and I bought this house.
Yeah.
And I ended up, spending some time here. It was a pretty sad thing, to be honest.
You're talking about your experience,
Well, just I didn't know anybody.
right? Sure.
You
It
know,
was not a great period of time for you. 'cause you
no,
didn't
I mean,
know
I did. I
anybody
mean, one of the things that really helped me out was, funny enough, before I get into the other story, was, I don't know, I'll try not to. I mean, I said to Mick Jagger, and you should never drop names.
here. Yeah.
But anyway, most people know that Steve Harris from Iron Maiden is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I remember being here one morning. I think it was 2008, and I was in bed. I was like, feeling sorry for myself. The phone rang. Steve, hey, I'm in Vegas. Oh, really? He said, yeah, where are you going to be later? I said, I'm going to be at Mandalay Bay watching this band. So, I'll come down.
Sounds like Rod's band.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So he said, he said, I'll come down. I said, okay. So it was so funny because I was there, it was about 10:30. So he showed up, give me a big hug. I didn't go over to him. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I was
Sure.
already there.
Sure, yeah.
And you could just see the credibility. It was almost, suddenly, I was just some,
Right.
Brit
Yep.
idiot. And then all of a sudden, no offense to Americans, but they do love a bit of celebrityism.
Sure, of course, absolutely.
And the funny part about it was that as people were, you could see it almost in like slow motion. As he was walking in, people were like pulling their phones out of their pocket. And then actually,
Taking a picture. Everybody's got to have a picture.
yeah,
Yeah.
a girl who I won't name, who's a good friend of mine, actually chastised me because I let him leave too early. He had his kids with him.
And you let
Oh,
him
I'm
leave.
sorry. I'll just grab him by
Really?
the
You've
freaking
got to
back
be
of the head.
kidding. Yeah, sure.
Hey, where do you think you're going? You haven't used up your worth yet.
You have a responsibility to these people.
And especially this one for some reason.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, So we played tennis the next day, and it lifted my spirits. But anyway, I want to say, when I very first came here, a friend of mine turned me on to Netflix.
Yeah.
Now, Netflix at the time in 2008 was nothing.
Yeah. Right.
And I looked at it. But it was a cheap thing that could use every, it was a cheap thing. I can't remember. It was $10, whatever it was. Right.
Yeah.
The front end didn't work particularly well.
Yep.
The content was pretty terrible.
I remember. Yeah.
But I thought these guys
They're
are
onto something here.
onto something, right? And I was so excited about this. I thought, Leak Library, it's got to be, and it is now, right? Years and years later.
Sure.
So I went back to England with this, like, just completely full of, like, literally like as if you'd found the Holy Grail. This is the future of the business.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't care what, if you're in any business that you're in, guitar tuition especially, you've always got to be looking to the next thing.
Sure.
I think I already have the next thing, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. So when I went back to England, I was so excited about this thing.
Right.
And it was like, and you know what it reminded me of? You probably don't remember this, but years ago I was at your apartment.
Yes.
And there was you was having a New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
And I was there, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's an American comedian called Bill Hicks,
Yeah.
who I think is absolutely hilarious. And I was at your house, and there was a few other people there. I remember he was there, but I won't go into it. And I said, we were talking about comedians. I don't know how it came about. And I said, have you guys heard of Bill Hicks? And he was like, no, because he's not big in America, right?
Yeah,
It's not about now, but he wasn't then.
I think I remember you saying this.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I thought, I'm so excited. I'm going to be a freaking hero here. Everyone's going to go, yeah, this guy. So I go, put some
great.
Bill Hicks on the YouTube. So he put the thing and found the thing. I found the one. I thought, yeah, put it on. Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I do remember.
You didn't even laugh as a friend to help me out, even though you
I
didn't
do remember.
think it was
For some
funny.
reason, I just didn't get it or something.
No.
I don't know what the deal was.
Anyway, so it was someone was like,
it's a Brit humor versus.
what was it? The stupid thing, it was American comedian. Who was famously on David Letterman, and they wiped his segment.
Let's drop another name. Was Ainsley Dunbar there that night?
He may have been. Was he there that night?
He was there one of those nights. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was another one of those moments when I went back to England with this like Netflix thing. I was like, dude, you got to think, and they just all look, and it was probably another,
So funny.
maybe 5 years is an exaggeration, but it was at least another 3 or 4 years. And you know what it was? It was only when they saw everybody else doing it
Sure.
that they suddenly went, oh,
Wow.
maybe he's got a point.
Wow, yeah.
And by that point, they
Yeah.
had the carousel, they sorted out the front end of it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
and everything.
It was actually starting to work on a large scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, boy, getting traction with anything is so difficult anymore.
Well, you know, I live my life by that saying, everybody wants to be first at coming second.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And but it's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody
And then
wants to
what you
jump on
find is all the
first.
people that called you an idiot and was like, yeah, whatever.
I've been watching him for years. I've been following him for years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we had that idea already. You know.
All of that.
Yeah.
It always happens. Yeah.
And funny, the reason that was part of the reason I kind of sort of walked out of the place, because I'd go in with a new idea, and the main guy there, he actually employed these two other guys, and they kind of formed this pact together to kind of shove me out. That was really what happened. They can't technically shove me out because I'm 50% shareholder, but and they had this great skit together, which they'd already, I don't know whether they rehearsed it, but what would happen is this guy who I won't mention, who was out in the office, and then the other shareholder would be in the main office. And you'd walk in there and you'd say, any idea you could think of, right? I've got some carrots that can produce nuclear energy,
Right.
right? I've got the thing. And he'd go, oi, those carrots that produce nuclear energy, I told you to get on that 3 months ago. And then the guy would come in the office and go, yeah, carrots, we've already been looking at that, you know what I mean? And he's like thinking they're just lying through the teeth, you know what I mean? It's just like
Of course.
whatever idea I come up with, they say they're already doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was, to me, I
Well,
thought, well, this is pointless now because I'm an ideas guy.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like the whole theory behind record labels. You know, their whole deal too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
if it's already big, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think when, for me, the Frank Zappa thing, I wonder if this will come back into play at some point, because record labels don't really have any money anymore.
Sure.
Frank Zappa always said, and I always made him right, he said, like, the Suits back in his day, just similar to what you're going through now, actually, and you can talk a little bit about this. They would say the Suits didn't really know reggae from rock, from this to that or whatever, but they had money. And someone would come along and say, hey, this is like a good thing. And they go, oh, you're beautiful. Throw some money at it.
Sure.
And they'd let them get on with it. And you know what I mean? Yep. And then those Suits kind of became A&R men.
Sure.
And then they always wanted to be, well, the bass drum's a little bit,
Sure.
I remember Michelangelo.
They wanted to be producers, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I remember Michelangelo Batio saying to me, the A&R guy for record labels, walking in, doing a huge line of gear.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, yeah, the bass is kind of sad but sincere.
Right.
Not sure, I think you need to make it a little bit more, sort of angular.
Yeah.
And then he'd walk out with his girlfriend and be like, yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm so smart. I really made that record happen. Yeah.
Have you ever come across?
I've little bits and pieces of stories about things like that, but those days are so long and gone that I hate to waste my time talking about any of them.
Yeah. But my main question was really about I know you've got some investors that are interested in Renaissance Orchestra.
Yeah.
Are you finding it's a little bit more like the old days where, because obviously you don't want them telling you don't need them to tell you about harmony,
right? Sure.
Wherever.
Yeah. My biggest difficulty, there's a lot. It's a hard thing to put the finger on the pulse of all the problems involved in the industry today and what it is that I do. Obviously I had this idea, this TSO template that would seem so obvious.
Yeah.
'Cause since it's already working and there's only one of them, you'd think that'd be so obvious. Not necessarily.
TSO? What's the TSO?
Trans-Siberian
Orchestra.
Orchestra.
Right, okay.
Yeah, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra thing. Yeah, I always call them TSO because I talk about them so often because what I do in some ways is similar. Now I've moved off course that, my last record, the COVID record we did, A Song of Hope, was much more commercial. It's, it's like 80s rock pretty much. I mean, there's Queen harmonies, very, very cool stuff, melodic rock. But a lot of people have always put what I do in this classical metal category. And so people never know quite what to do with us. And my biggest problem with that is, I think has to do with venues and touring companies, because they think that they know exactly what everything is. They're giving everybody the same thing and it all sounds the same, whether it's death metal or whether it's progressive metal or whatever it is. There's not that beautiful melodic rock thing that Renaissance Rock Orchestra does. Yeah. Or that symphonic metal thing that we do. And I don't quite understand.
But how much of it do you think, because this is the thing that always concerns me. It doesn't matter whether it's Led Zeppelin or Joe Bonamassa or who it is. You see a very definite turn in their career when they change their images.
A lot of times.
Right? If you look at early Led Zeppelin, I mean, they could have been working in your garden.
Sure.
And then when they started wearing all the, the fancy clothes, or Joe Bonamassa was the same. If you look at, I'm half mates with Johnny Bessemer. I love the guy.
Yeah, I just do.
But the thing is, if you look at Joe, he used to have a corduroy jacket.
Right.
And then all of a sudden...
Now he has the sunglasses and the cool
and
blues,
the suit.
The blues god look.
Right. And he definitely... went up a gear when that happened. So my question to you
think that would work for Renaissance Rock Orchestra?
Well,
maybe we should start wearing suits.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that, but all I'm saying
who knows?
But all I'm saying is there seems to be in a lot of these acts. There's very few that are different. The only one I would say is AC/DC didn't seem to suffer from that.
Right.
Although the schoolboy thing,
helped.
Did help when
Definitely
he
helped.
sort of got that going.
Yeah.
But it seems that there is a change in image or something happens and then they go from being a great band who look like you and I, not you because you're a rock star, but me, or just look like some ordinary guy.
Sure.
They changed that thing.
Right.
And the Beatles the same. When you remember they got turned down and then when they started wearing the suits, it changed. So I guess my question is there something, not just talking about Renaissance Rock Orchestra, is there something with that you say, right, well, if we did this, this would be the change that would give the thing, because I'm not being funny, I don't think that many people would be able to pick apart your harmonies and this, that, and the other.
Sure.
It doesn't mean to say they don't like them.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
But most people, unfortunately, they see a
Well,
something, and then if the music's good, then all good.
Or I think that's part of the problem nowadays. If the music is actually music and the music is good, they don't understand it. It's the dumbing down of America.
Yeah.
We've dumbed down our entire country with hip hop and rap and everything that's out there, and that's what we fed the kids, and everything's done that.
Yeah.
You know.
But even when Dee Snider did his show, he did a vampire thing.
Right.
He hung it on something. I don't know whether that.
Yeah.
Whether that stuck.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be, because once again, I don't want to change what I do, what I write. I don't think the music would change. I'm not suggesting that, because Joe Bonamassa didn't change his music. Sure.
Led Zeppelin didn't change that, but it was an image show thing.
Yeah.
That's where they made the switch, and that seemed what took them from here to boom.
Right. Yeah. Well, when I look at all the other acts that are out there that do good music, and I don't care if it's Trans-Siberian Orchestra or if it's, what's the name of the gal, the singer gal? Well, Anya, and there's another girl, lady singer, that they have these incredible shows. It's all the lasers, it's all the 3D mapping.
Yeah,
which is just brilliant. So I can't see an image change affecting that. I think our biggest problem right now has to do with venues, and the fact that, the COVID situation versus Live Nation and AEG owning most of the major venues in the world now.
Yeah.
And so it's without them supporting you, how are you going to break anything there? So my new business model for our act is to actually start producing our own shows.
Yeah.
So that we open up for a major headliner in front of 11,000, 20,000 people, whatever it is, because it's all about the live music now.
Yeah.
That's where it's got to start. If you're playing music that isn't pablum, that's created for the masses, that all sounds like crap, it's all the same, which unfortunately most of our kids think is cool. We've taught them that that's supposed to be cool.
I'm not sure. I think that could be an advantage for people like yourself.
Maybe.
Because I think people are starting to look back and go, well, we don't really, it's not that, we don't like that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. But
I hope so. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Talk a little bit more about it, because I like this. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, week ago. I love this idea that you putting on your own show. And I mean, for me, a Christmas show would probably, the thing about Christmas shows, they're like Christmas singles. There's a lot of competition. So you got that to think about. But
I don't know that there really is so much. Yeah, there's people that go out and put on Christmas shows.
I might be going back a few years, but like when you used to put a record out at Christmas, you'd be swamped by every big art, crushed by every big artist. I don't know if that's the same in the live.
Well, but there's a lot of small rooms that are going to need that too. Performing arts centers, theaters, where the big artists aren't going to go. So I think there's definitely a market for it, and I think a lot of the small groups that play those kind of rooms normally, theaters, whether it's a 500 to 1,000 seat room or performing arts center, I don't think they're getting together and saying, let's do a Christmas show this year. And the uniqueness of what I have and its similarity to Trans-Siberian Orchestra and just that whole Christmas thing. There's something about the Christmas thing that lends itself to kind of that whole classical music, melodious kind of thing. So I think it's a good way to go. I think
happiness.
Of course. Yeah. And people spend so much money that time of year. They want to go out. They want to be entertained. And there are so many cities in this country that there's only 2 Trans-Siberian orchestras. So there's a lot of open cities in the Midwest and everywhere, smaller cities that are dying to have a good Christmas show that would be Trans-Siberian-like, Trans-Siberian-ish, I think.
And so if I'm understanding this in the right way, because you're going to basically be the promoter.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably my agent, yeah.
Yeah. So, but basically your company, or whichever way you have it constructed, is going to be putting on the show. Who's an ideal headline act? And this is not to say they're better than you or anything like that. It's just to say you're looking to draw people to sell tickets.
Yeah.
So
I see those 2 different as two different things, Stuart. I think that we can do fine on our own as a Christmas show because people love to see Christmas shows.
I do.
Yeah, and all it takes is a little bit of advertisement from the local radio station, the local TV show, or anything to let them know that, hey, this is kind of like a smaller version of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and everybody's going to go do that because Trans-Siberian doesn't go there. They don't even come to Vegas anymore.
Right.
So
do they not? I did not know that.
They haven't come to Vegas since 3 years before COVID. They stopped coming to Vegas.
Wow.
Just do more gigantic metropolitan areas. Vegas isn't big enough for them. I don't get it.
So hopefully there's a vacuum that can be filled by
Absolutely.
you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think definitely so. I think it could be filled by several you guys like us.
Because if you were to say, for example, put on a Christmas show next Christmas, now's about the right time. I know people probably wouldn't think it is, but now's about the time to start promoting it.
Well, I think by April for sure.
April?
Yeah, I think our plan is to have the record done by April and to use April to start building content videos, going into a soundstage or something and actually shoot it so the venues can actually see what it looks like with the production. 3 songs, whatever, just so they look at it and go, wow, yeah, sounds great, looks great. We got to have a Christmas show. So the agents and the agencies will start actually pitching it in June.
Right. Because there's a wonderful art centre that I went
actually,
to.
in May, I guess, probably, yeah.
Yeah, there's a wonderful art centre in Vegas. I went to see Alan Parsons there 2 or 3 years ago, whenever it was. And I mean, that's a fantastic venue. Would you be thinking like a casino?
You're talking
or?
Smith
Is that what
Center?
it is? Yeah.
You're talking Smith Center is incredible. Yeah, I love it. I would love to play Smith Center, but it's a little big for us at this point. They have that smaller room too, which might be a good opening.
Because that's more of a government.
It all comes down to money in the end, though,
right? But that's not a casino, is it? So
no, not at all.
You could do it.
It's kind of. I think it's a private place. It's not public, but it's very cultural. It's supported by the arts community.
And you are culture personified. Let's be honest.
Well, thank you.
What you're doing.
Yeah, and the music particularly. Yeah, just got to have the right amount of money. If I had enough financing, we would go straight to Smith Center for sure. But I am also, here's kind of my plan on that. First of all, I'm separating that from the other concept I was telling you about, where I think we're going to produce our own shows, where we're opening up for major headliners. So for the Christmas show, we wouldn't use one, wouldn't need one.
That would just be you guys.
Because we could fill a 500-seater or 1,000-seater just for people that want to see Christmas shows, just by who we are and what they hear and how we market it ourselves.
Yeah.
But to fill 10,000 seats or 20,000 seats, I need a major headliner, whether it's Evanescence or Judas Priest or REO Speedwagon or Blink-182, which is who we're talking with our new hopeful investor / production company about. So that's kind of an entire different thing, and we will build the brand in a large way that way. The Christmas show is going to. It will definitely build the brand. It's a slower route, and of course, you know how it is with Christmas. It comes around every year, and Christmas records, Christmas songs sell more than any other songs ever produced because they never ever end.
But it's an interesting thing because there's do you know the band Status Quo?
Yes.
Now, I don't know if they still do it, but they did I think it was at Wembley, they did a Christmas show every year. They made sure they did it on the same dates.
Yeah.
You know, and it was it became a part of the calendar.
Yeah, I love that.
Which was great. And my other,
what I would love to do is we've been talking about 15 to 20 different performing arts centers and theaters out in California, and we may start this year by just doing that. But I would also like to augment that with doing one particular venue in Las Vegas where, let's say, a Thursday night, we do it at the same place every Thursday night for 7 weeks.
Right.
Here in Las Vegas. And then we go out and we do our shows Friday and Saturday out in California, whatever it might be. I think that would be a really cool thing to do. And it could end up being kind of like that, where people know this is what's going to happen for Christmas at this venue. It'd be a great idea for any venue owner in Las Vegas to go, yeah, we should do that.
And the other thing is, what about, I know the GoFundMe is a bit of a dirty phrase at the moment because of the...
Because of what?
Well, because of the Canadian truckers.
Yeah.
They never got their money.
Right.
Which I have to say, I'm not a big political guy, but if you choose to give money to somebody, you should be able to do that.
Sure, of course.
But, what do I know?
Yeah.
But anyway, have you ever thought about, or have you ever done, or have you ever thought about that kind of thing.
I absolutely have it. I'm thinking about it again because
you're a popular guy.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm in this in-between zone right now with investors. You know, everybody that's performed in my band, you know, whether it's Brian Tichy, whether it's Robin McCauley, all these great names, great players, they've always been pretty amazed at the ability that I have to gain large tranches of money from investors. There's something unique enough about this music and this project that people go, that makes sense. That's going to work. Let's give Gregg $100,000. Well, I need to move that up into the $1 million mark at this point, and that's what we're trying to do. That's kind of where we're at with things.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I actually think it's you. I don't think it's. I'm sure if your music was not good, then they'd probably be like, "This is kind of tricky." But you know, you genuinely.
Well, they tell me that. They do tell me that.
Yeah.
You know, we
like
you. We know how hard you work. We trust you. We believe in you. You're a likable guy. You're a talented guy.
Exactly.
You're a charismatic guy. Yes.
Because I don't know if you. I'm not sure. I used to go. When I was 15, I was best friends with a guy called Mark Kelly, who's in a band called Marillion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
of
know
course.
Marillion. Oh, okay.
Of course.
We were best friends when we were kids.
Yeah.
And we were in band.
Awesome. Marillion.
We were in bands together and this and the other.
Marillion.
Now they were the first, as far as I know, they got dropped by EMI. At least that's the way I heard it. Yeah. Or they, I don't know whether they were jumped or whether they whether they were pushed or whatever. But anyway, they ended up not being with their record label anymore. And they, as far as I know, they were the original GoFundMe people.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Because what they did was they said to their fan base, if you buy the record up front, we'll use the money to make the record, and we'll give you, depending on what you pledge, you know how it goes.
Yep. We actually have done that twice,
and they had a massive success with that.
That's.
Oh, you did? And how did it?
You know, it's always been a struggle, and it's something I hate. I hate asking for people for money. And of course, when I first started, I had to literally go to friends and family, personal friends, to try to make it work. Yeah. Because nobody knew about this at all. And that was the first EP, the White Gate Trilogy. And that's on Spotify and, of course, everywhere in the world that you can stream music. You can listen to these records. A great record, by the way. I had...
Where can people get that?
You can stream it anywhere.
Right.
On any streaming platform.
But we don't want people to do that because you don't get paid much.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, but
we want them to buy it.
Yeah, if you want to actually buy the CD, you can always DM me on any.
Can they buy it as a download?
They can buy it as a download from me too. I do that for them.
Right, but it's not on any of the.
I don't actually have it advertised in a certain place where you go to do that.
So you can't buy it from like iTunes or.
You can actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Amazon. You can. Yeah, it's in all those spots. CD Baby, of course.
And where can they get the link? Do they just go on and search? What do they search for?
Just search for Renaissance Rock Orchestra,
and then your stuff will come up.
Any one of those spots.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of streaming. Got to be honest.
Yeah, well, I'm not either.
Music streaming.
Certainly doesn't pay me any money, but it's the future, I think. So I have to try to follow.
I'm sort of open. I'm hoping that vinyl's going to make. I know vinyl won't ever come back in a massive way.
Yeah,
I don't know. I hope something comes.
I would love to get some stuff pressed on vinyl so that we could offer it to people, and I think it would do well enough to
especially at Christmas, because what a great Christmas gift.
Absolutely, yeah. Vinyl's an amazing thing, and it has made like a 30% increase in the last several years from where it was 30, maybe close to 40. So it's done well, and I think it will continue to hold that part of the market. And I think that's a cool thing. I think that can help us all as artists because you got to hold the physical product, and of course, a lot of that money comes back to us, the creators, from doing that. But our first one we did on Pledge Music for crowdfunding. And, we did fairly well. We got several $1,000s. My problem is that I want the music to be so good and I want to have the best artists in the world on it. Yeah. So, and of course, they're not cheap. And I end up taking it to the best engineers and the best mastering houses in the world. Our last record, we brought in Brian Malouf, who mixed not only Madonna, but Queen at Wembley.
Right. Oh, wow.
And so it's not cheap doing that, spending that money on an album per track, and then all the individual artists. I ended up spending $30,000 on the last record.
Wow.
And I ended up I'm talking the second record, $30,000 on the last record. Thank God I had investors that helped me with that one. Yeah, my investors helped me with that one. But I still took a lot of that myself.
Yeah.
Paid for a lot of that myself. The second record, In Times of Old, which had 27 rock stars on it, 2 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. The list of drummers is amazing. That's an incredible record to listen to because it has 9 different drummers on it.
Wow.
Everybody from Alice Cooper drummers, Brent Fitz, Slash drummer, Alan White from Yes drums on it, Vinny Appice from Black Sabbath and Dio, Simon Wright from AC/DC, Roxy Petrucci from Vixen, Ben Smith from Hearts. It just goes on and on. So
And how many of them were still alive at the end?
they were all still alive. Yeah, but it cost me a lot of money. I did that record, that second record, on Kickstarter.
Right.
And it did a little bit better. I think we got about 5,000 on that, and it ended up costing me about 15,000 to do the record. So I've been thinking about it for this fourth record, thinking about the same thing. I'm in between these investors. I know the money's coming. I know they're interested. I know they have deep pockets. I know they want to help out. But it takes a long time to build the performance and the budgets and to do the transfers. It could be months and months away, and I'm in the middle of this. I want to get the fourth record done by June. I want to have the Christmas record done by April. So I'm recording it right now. I'm trying to get all my guys to do my tracks. So I'm asking the guys right now to lay tracks for me on the come.
Right.
Knowing that the money's coming, but I keep thinking to myself, should I do another crowdfunding program? Oh God, I hate doing that. I hate asking people for money.
But do you not think though that?
But of course, back then, even 2018 when I released the second record, I didn't have 11,000 followers on Facebook. I didn't have 5,000 followers on YouTube. And those are not nearly the big numbers that you need to make a band successful, but it could be enough numbers to do a successful crowdfunder for a record.
Well, yeah, because to me, I think that once even I realised in my, with Lick Library and everything, when I figured out that the best business model was not getting $10,000 from 3 people, it was getting $1 from 500,000 people.
Right.
Because it's not that
Yeah.
big a deal.
Yeah, but it works so well for so many people in so many ways. But
how
it seems difficult to get $20 from 1,000 people, though.
Yeah,
it does.
Do you how do you think how important do you think it is to have the famous people on the records?
At this point, I'm not sure that it's that important. It's never made a huge difference. I always thought it would.
Yeah.
I always thought that people were going to go, wow, you have these people. And I think maybe it's affected my investment people.
Right.
I think the people that give me the money think that that's kind of an important thing.
Yeah.
But at this point, we've kind of gotten a little bit beyond that. We know that Gregg Fox writes all the music.
Yeah.
We know that he's working on his fourth record. We know he's always going to have great musicians, whoever it is.
Exactly.
So I think less and less do I think it's so important to have famous
Because
people.
I've got to be honest with you, going back to when I was a kid, I was actually more excited
about learning about new artists.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, I was the guy that had the albums under my arm.
Yeah.
And if I bought a Robin Trower record and then somebody else bought it, I was almost pissed at them. Like, how dare you?
How could you get? That's my record.
That's my record, man.
I discovered that record.
Do you see what I'm saying? I was never particularly I remember I was I don't know if you know Simon Phillips, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I was the Simon Phillips because I played drums I was the Simon Phillips guy.
Yeah.
I would be going round going, you got to hear this record, you got to hear this record, and then was like, who's Simon Phillips? And I go, come on, man. I was more excited by that. Like once someone had became
discovering
famous,
new talent.
Good luck to them, and good luck to them. But if someone said, oh, Jimmy Page is featuring on this record, I'd be like, me, I already know Jimmy Page.
Right.
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 So I mean, I wonder.
Yeah.
And the other thing is as well, we're just riffing here. I'm not telling you how to suck eggs, but if you do find what you do find, especially in these days of new. See what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
I took Days of Old and did Days of New. Especially if you find
times of new.
Yeah, exactly. If you find new guitar players or whatever, especially young, who will guess, they're probably going to do it for free. And not only that, they will go and promote your product.
Of course, because they like being a part of something new and exciting.
Yeah, but because let's be honest, they're just promoting themselves via everything they're doing. And if you find somebody on YouTube that's got God knows how many followers, that's going to work for you much more than, because I'm not being funny, your average kind of
you're right.
Middle-aged famous person's going to come up, take some money off you, do a thing. I'm not saying it won't be good or whatever, and they'll be like, I'll see you next time you've got some money, Greg.
Well, the guys who are at that point that have been doing it for a long time, that have a history and that are the known players, I mean, they're kind of mercenary.
Yeah.
I mean, they simply are. They've got to get paid for everything they do, whether it's a gig, whether it's a track. And yeah, of course, they still love the music. But yeah, your point is well taken.
And the thing is, when you look
As a matter
at
of fact, I like that idea a lot.
I think
if there are some hot young guitar players and drummers and singers out there, particularly,
I mean,
I'd be very happy to have you do a Renaissance Rock Orchestra track.
there's a boatload of them. I mean, and as much as I believe in my own playing, I'd put a lot of them before me, not because I think they're better than I am, but just simply when people are young and hungry.
Sure.
And
they're passionate.
They're passionate.
There's certain musical passion that many people lose throughout the years. You know,
I don't,
even society in general, people in general, and there's a lot of reasons for it. Politics are part of it, but you know, all the people that are my friends when I was a kid. It was all there was music, of course. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have gaming. There's so many other things. So, yeah, that was the exciting thing. This was the great passion of our lives.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that existed. But as they've all grown older, they don't even listen to music anymore.
No.
They don't listen to music. I listen to music all day long, every day, whether I'm writing it or creating it. When I take a break, when I take in the shower, what am I listening to? Yeah, I'm going to listen to some new Transatlantic. I'm going to listen to some new something, always.
But for me, it's not about, I don't really believe I've lost, I still practice every day.
Yep.
You know, I don't believe I've lost a passion for music, but if you're trying to say to me, what's your social media influencing abilities versus somebody in their 20s? I'm going to be well, I'm sorry.
Well,
I just don't.
And I get that. And I love that concept that you're talking about. I think that's a great idea to go find those people with the millions of followers on YouTube or the millions of followers on TikTok. What do I care where it comes from, as long as they have the talent and they bring that social media following with them, which they obviously will. I love that idea. If anybody has any ideas, if you know somebody, I'll go for it.
So hit Gregg up if you are somebody that would like to be a part of that. I mean, I'm not in any kind of managerial position here, but I mean, you know, Gregg's a buddy of mine. You can hit me up and I'll put you in touch, or whichever way you want to do it. Because
sounds like fun.
I think, you know,
it's a smart idea.
Yeah,
it's a smart idea. I mean, you have to try to build. Social media is really the only thing there is out there. You don't have record labels anymore, so you have to use whatever tools are available and that's
and
do you know that TikTok right now is 5 times bigger than all the other social media platforms put together?
It wouldn't surprise
My management guy just went over his royalty checks on. He owns a catalog of about 4,000 songs from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and it's way bigger than any of the other royalties he gets from anywhere else. And he goes, I don't even know how that happened. I didn't send it to TikTok. These kids are, just using it on their videos.
Yeah.
And TikTok's got to pay them.
I mean, I think if I was a single mother crying my eyes out because I'd just been dumped by my boyfriend, I think I'd be a good TikToker. You know what I mean?
TikTok's a weird thing.
I
don't get it. I don't get it all. Our management said you got to get it. When they did the numbers and they found the royalties, they found that that's the biggest streaming source of income for music right now.
So how does that work?
I don't know all the ins and outs.
See, this is why I'm not playing on your record, because I don't even understand TikTok. And you need people that
well,
how do you get your music on there and make money from that?
Well, the good question. I'm in the process to find that all out.
I thought it was just people crying about stuff.
No, they use music, and the crazy thing is that I've been researching it, trying to build a TikTok that will actually work, that people enjoy. And the majority of the 5 billion TikTok followers out there do exactly the same thing. Is that
how many there is?
Yeah, and they all do the same thing. They lip sync to other people's music.
That I have seen.
And I don't get it. I don't understand why 5 billion people want to watch 5 billion other people lip sync to somebody else's music that they know. It's just a stranger lip syncing to music that you've heard a million times.
Yeah.
What is it about that is so fascinating that you'll have 5 million followers? Because that's what you do. I lip sync other people, and they're just in their bedroom. That's it. It's just them lip syncing the song that I know, been hearing all my life, and they have 5 million followers. I
mean, I couldn't necessarily explain that, but I think people are all of us are so bored with the media now, aren't we?
I guess so.
No, but we are though, because it's like, you go, like, I mean, let's say for example, you and I were put in the job of, mediating the media.
Right.
So CNN comes on. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's not true. I mean, they wouldn't have a show.
Right.
So I think what people see is when you see a person goofing off
Sure.
there's just some truth and energy
some kind of truth.
to that. I don't know.
That's really the only way that you can connect with people. That's how particularly the youth connect with each other. It's through that social media where you have this connection with this person that you watch their TikTok every day. What song are they going to sing for me today? And it's just the craziest, weirdest thing, but that is their reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is their social connection.
And it is, and the amount of misery and stuff that you see on there. I mean, the thing is, I think people's attention spans have got shorter and shorter, and they just get a chance to see a little thing. Oh, it's like, and I've seen some people singing some stuff on there. I've actually more seen it on YouTube when they I don't have a TikTok account, but when they redo it, some of it's fun. I mean, look, you're not going to watch it for 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, the kids watch it for hours and hours.
But do they not watch different?
They do, yeah.
Bits, that's what I'm saying.
From this to this to this.
Yeah,
to this,
that's what. It's almost like online dating, isn't it? It's
I guess
in a crazy
and they
sort
have
of
their
way.
favorites that they go to every day that they see. So those kind of things pop up, and some of it will be funny, some of it will be dumb, some of it will be lip syncing, I guess.
Yeah,
that's my understanding.
Because a little while ago, I don't know if you ever saw the electric guitar show thing that I did.
I don't know if I did or not. I
Probably,
think I did. I think
you
I
probably
did see
shouldn't
a little,
watch it.
I think I did see a little of it.
The one was very offensive.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. But anyway, so I put a disclaimer on it saying this show, I don't know, can't remember exactly what I wrote, but I wrote something to the tune of, this show is incredibly offensive. It includes really, really bad language. If you're easily offended, do not watch! Exclamation mark. So of course, what does everybody do? Watches. So I got a lot of negative. I got some positive comments.
Sure.
Because there was some stuff relating to Lick Library and blah blah blah. My experiences there. But I got some threats.
Yeah.
On that thing.
Yeah.
And so I would make these funny videos, which I suppose were a little bit like TikTok-y in a way that they were just like these short videos. They got the most attention of like pretty much everything I do. I could show you a lick that you've never been able to figure out by yourself, and you're like, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And they would watch me making these funny videos about just sort of saying,
make a buffoon out of yourself, and they love it.
Yeah. Well, all I was doing was just talking about the threats that I'd had, but just making fun of it, the whole thing.
And everybody watched that.
And everybody watched that.
The controversy. Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's what it is. People just love that.
Yep.
That weird thing. I really don't know. I should probably start making them again.
Yeah, I guess so.
I probably
would
should.
say so. Yeah.
And that was just me sitting on the couch with a phone,
That's funny.
So
that's funny. It's hard to get people to get involved. This whole traction thing we've been talking about with the social media and with YouTube and et cetera. A prime example right now is the whole Spotify experience, and we know all the bullets going on with Spotify and all that, but I don't think anybody's going anywhere. I think streaming is going to be here forever. So obviously you have to try to make as much traction as you can. So one of the things about the algorithm is if you release a new record, and I have that new record being released on Spotify March 10th. So I have this Spotify pre-save contest going on, and I'm asking people just to do that. It's kind of like the same thing as trying to get people to subscribe on YouTube.
Right.
Nobody will do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many people you ask. 5,000, 10,000, 11,000 on all these different social media platforms, and we get 200. So it's too time consuming, too difficult. But will you please, if you can, go and do a Spotify pre-save. I have links on all my Facebook for Renaissance Rock Orchestra, on Instagram. It's very easy to do that. Or you can go to our all link that we have. We have this all link thing on Linktree, right?
Oh, okay.
You just go Linktree, but it's linktr.ee. That's the way it works when you go to these links. Linktree, linktr.ee.com. Renaissance Rock. No, it's RRO Music. Linktree/RRO Music.
Right.
And we have all of our links there for Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
for
So
your listening and enjoyment.
I still think that's why I'm still coming completely full circle. That's why I'm such a big fan of the live thing, because when you think about the old days of the door-to-door salesman.
Absolutely.
It's already, there's some connection there. And
Absolutely.
I think that when you're at a gig, I mean, one idea that I had, something I was going to do, I don't know if it would work for you, would be Renaissance Rock Orchestra Christmas cards.
That's a nice
and then you
fun
open the
idea.
card and it plays some of your music.
I love it. I love it. What a great idea. People might like that. They might enjoy that.
I'd buy one.
They have a lot of great. We have a lot of great Christmas material that's going to be on that new
Yeah,
Christmas.
and also,
record.
of course-
But I agree with you entirely, and that's why my business model always for this project to build this brand has been not social media, not records and CDs. It has always been to perform live,
Yeah.
and in the largest venues possible.
Yeah.
That's always been my vision, always been my dream, and it is really how you make money in the music business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really and truthfully, I mean, I won't mention the band, but you probably know who they are. A friend of mine's band, 60% of their income is T-shirts.
Oh, absolutely. I'm surprised it's not higher than that.
It might be now, but
Yeah,
it's
I would think much higher. Yeah. Is it a well-known band?
Yeah. And this is a band that don't even want a record deal. But it's like it's merchandise.
Yeah, nice.
And the thing is, once you
how many fans and followers do they have? How long?
They're a worldwide thing.
So millions.
Yeah. And so, but it's like they actually did a thing where they were
60% is live music.
Yes,
live performances.
60% of their income,
and of course,
as a band,
for a breaking
T-shirts.
band, a new project like this that's trying to get branded, it will be a much higher amount when we start playing live. That will be where the majority of our income comes until we build that following that wants the merch and wants other things.
Because and that's the whole thing. With, I mean, I don't know whether it was, I can't remember that. What was that band? I don't even know if they're still playing, but the rock band in town, and they would all come out after and sit on the table and sign.
Yeah, Ready in the Rock Vault.
Right, okay. I mean, I would imagine, did they do well with merchandise? Or
I think they did pretty well with merchandise.
Because that's a great thing, but you come out to the kids and,
absolutely,
sign the thing. So
calendars, T-shirts, drum heads, drumsticks. Whatever you got. Absolutely. It's an important part of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Greg, it's been absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And, Renaissance Rock Orchestra. Everywhere. Check it out.
Yeah.
And we're going to have you on again soon.
Good.
Once we get once you've got a plan for the end of the year.
A show.
A show
would be a good reason.
We're
working on several of those things right now. And like I said, it's my vision has always been go big or go home. So they're pretty big plans I have right now.
And hopefully if there is a Christmas show for this year, I'll certainly be there.
That would be fun. Yeah.
And
fun, wouldn't it?
I will help you in any way I possibly can.
Thank you very much
to promote it, and obviously I'll have you back on the podcast. And
appreciate you.
So it's great to see you, mate.
Good to see you too. Nice talking with you.
And we shall speak.
Goodbye, everybody.
Soon. Goodbye.
It was great to see you.
Yeah.
Great chatting at you for a while. Yeah. Thanks for all your help. Go subscribe on YouTube.
Yes, to both of us, but especially Greg.
Or else you're not going to be in the club. We're going to kick you out of the Facebook club.
We're going to figure out a really nice way to do that. You know what I mean? It's a bit like your ex-girlfriend.
I love that plan.
It's like your old girlfriend where you say, well, I'll still keep dating you if you do this.
Or I could go to all those people that I can't include in Facebook yet. And so
that's another thing.
The list of wannabe friends.
I've also
if you want to be my friend, I'll let you be a friend on my new Facebook page, but you got to do this first.
Yeah, and then that way, at least they're serious.
Absolutely, I like it. And why not?
If it's a good club, I'll pay $1 to get in.
That's right.
But it's even free.
And I think they do want to be a part. I think they really do want to be. I know at least 10,000 people are waiting to be my Facebook friends. So,
listen, there's no such.
So they want to be a part of this club.
I got a friend of mine in Tenerife, right? And I told my friend's wife. I tried to explain. She's got 2 kids, 2 lovely kids. I tried to explain to her there's no such thing in life as love, only leverage. And she goes, like, my daughter won't do this. I said, well, I said to the dad, he came over one day, and they were going on holiday somewhere. I said, well, tell her you're not taking her. He went, I said, listen, there's no such thing in life as love, only leverage. So he went back, goes, right, you're not coming. Guess what? Room was clean.
Of course.
There's that. No such thing in life as love, only leverage.
It gets a lot more action, doesn't it?
It does. Let's end it there.
Sounds good.
That's it.
Nice.
Hold on, mate. We still
How long was that?